1979, 3 Mile Island, United States. They had a pressure valve that got stuck. The only solution that they had was to release a small amount of radiation into the air. They had to do that so that the pressure could be released and so that the thing didn't explode, which would have been way worse. So they had to evacuate some people around who lived nearby. I'm sure those people believe in NIMBY. But all in all, in hindsight, this terrified everyone, but it turned out to be a pretty minor incident. There were no deaths associated with it. There at the top, you can see the reactor on the left is the one that malfunctioned. And so it never operated again after that accident. They just shut it down. They do what's called decommissioning, where they clean everything up, and it's been shut down since 1979. But they kept the other side running. They made upgrades to it so that it wouldn't have the same issues. And of course, they went around and upgraded facilities all around the country as well. It was just in 2019 that they finally shut down the other side. So eventually, just like a hydroelectric dam eventually needs repaired or closed or rebuilt, same thing with nuclear power plants. They have a lifespan. 1986 was Chernobyl. This one, we do not know the death toll. We estimate it's in the tens of thousands. If you ask me what the big mistake at Chernobyl was, it's that they tried to keep it secret. They didn't evacuate people right away. Had they evacuated immediately, they would have saved 20, 25,000 lives probably. So they've built this gigantic sarcophagus, they call it. And it took a lot of money and a whole bunch of years to make this. And there it is, it's finished. Because it's now contained and shielded, you can go there. And it's become a tourist spot. They're going to install some of the largest wind and solar facilities. And we know wind and solar are good if you have enough space. Japan in 2011, the big tsunami that hit, and you can see they've got a seawall built around the plant. They did not anticipate a tsunami as big as they saw. In fact, in human history, modern human history, we've only seen one tsunami that even came close to this one. And it was in 2004. So we had two giant tsunamis within 7 years of each other. And this was happening from really deep earthquakes on the Ring of Fire. So they did not think the wave would ever get over this protective seawall built around the facility. Remember, nuclear plants need access to water. That's how they keep the core cool. Here you can see there were 4 main reactor buildings and 3 of them exploded. Now, remember, it's not a nuclear explosion. That's not what happened. That can't happen. There is no nuclear explosion in a reactor. Instead, there was a buildup. It's very much like what happened in 3 Mile Island. There was a buildup of hydrogen gas, and instead of it getting released, it sparked and exploded and blew the buildings apart. Now, those buildings did not explode immediately. The normal safety precautions kicked in like they were supposed to. The control rods dropped. They slowed down the reaction. The pumps that were run by battery and diesel fuel kicked in and started fueling up and powering the cooling systems. And then the tsunami hit. And the tsunami took out the batteries and the diesel generators. It was just a disaster we did not anticipate. They did not hesitate to start closing off where the meltdown occurred. So they sent workers in, and just like Chernobyl, they designed and built a cover for it so that the radiation in the air would not be a problem. And they did this very quickly. The biggest concern was the water, because we're at a place where the groundwater actually flows toward the ocean. And they didn't want radiation to spread in large amounts across the Pacific Ocean. These are the containers where they're storing all the radioactive water. They are doing the exact same thing that Russia is doing. They have a $3 billion project that is going to put a whole bunch of wind and solar there, because we don't want people living around it, but we can still produce energy and ship it out. And so it's going to replace about 2/3 of what the nuclear plant used to produce. Yay, renewable energy. I assigned something today. It's a 5-question half-life practice. I gave you 2 attempts in case you totally messed it up the first time. Go in there and earn some of your points back, okay? And we are aiming for our test. It's going to be next Monday. So there may be a half-life question or 2 on Monday's test. So definitely do this practice. I made it due Friday night at midnight.